I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Aloha, welcome to Unity Church of Maui Sunday service. I went to Southern California Military Academy when I was in 7th, 8th, and 9th grades. I lived at the academy my entire 7th grade year. And it was there that I met my first spiritual teacher. He was a staff member at Southern California Military Academy, and his name was Lieutenant Peabody. You know, I was having a really difficult time. My dad had died just a few months previous, and I was often very sad, and I shared this with Lieutenant Peabody. And he asked me, what was the first thing that I did in the morning? And I said, well, I go to the bathroom. And he said, well, is there a mirror in the bathroom? And I said, well, yes, of course. And he said, well, that's great. Now, every morning, even before you brush your teeth, I want you to look in the mirror and to smile at yourself. And I said, Lieutenant Peabody, I'm afraid to look at myself first thing in the morning. And he laughed and he looked at me and he looked at my eyes and he said, if you cannot manage a smile, a natural smile, then I want you to take your 2 index fingers and place one on each corner of your mouth and push up like this. And he showed me, and he looked ridiculous. And I thought it was so funny that I laughed and he laughed, and he ordered me to try it the next day. So I did. The very next day, the next morning, I dragged myself out of bed and staggered into the bathroom in the barracks where I lived with 15 other cadets. I looked in the mirror and I went, ugh. And then I thought, okay, I got to do what Lieutenant Peabody said. So, you know, a natural smile was impossible. So I took my 2 index fingers and I placed one on each side of my mouth and pushed up. And then I saw this ridiculous young man making a silly face in the mirror, and I couldn't help but grinning. And by this time, a group of cadets had joined me in the bathroom, and everybody watching what I'm doing and imitating my hand gesture. And in a few seconds, the whole barracks was cracking up with what was happening. Everybody was making this funny face, and this routine became a regular practice for all of us every morning. You know, people say that I smile a lot. Well, perhaps it's because the muscles around my mouth got stuck in that position. You know, we can always try the 2-finger smile any time of the day. It's especially useful when we feel sad or when we feel down or angry. And, you know, laughter has been proven to release endorphins into our bloodstream, which strengthens our immune system and makes us feel happy. Wow, I love that. So, how happy are you? And do you want to be happier than you are right now, or than how you are in general? So today we're going to begin to work on raising our set point so that we will be happier people. And of course, you're going to have to follow the directions and the prescription that I'm going to give you if you want to feel happier in your life. So think, can you see yourself as a happy person? Can you see what your life will be like when you are living the happy life that you aspire to live? German philosopher Immanuel Kant stated that happiness is not an idea of reason, but of imagination. Have you ever considered that consider using the power of your imagination to get a clear image of what a happier version of you would be like? In this talk, based on Will Bowen's book, Happy This Year, we're going to acquire some tools to help us discern our level of happiness and create a vision for what a happier version of us would look like. So today we're going to begin to raise our happiness set point so that we can be happier persons. Are you in? Are you willing to try that? I really think that all of us want to be happier, don't we? I think it's one of the basic desires of us as human beings. We want to be happy. So what is happy? In Lewis Carroll's classic children's story, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Alice has this conversation with the Cheshire Cat. She says to the cat, "Would you tell me, please, which way do we go from here?" And the Cheshire Cat says, "Well, that depends on where you want to get to." Before we can consider which way to go from where we are, we must agree on where we want to end up. If we desire to be happy, then we must begin by having a realistic understanding of what it means to be happy. Will Bowen's favorite definition of happiness is summarized in a January 2009 Psychology Today magazine. He said, and the article says, "What is happiness? The most useful definition, and it is agreed upon by neuroscientists, psychiatrists, positive psychologists, and Buddhist monks, is more like satisfied or content than happy." Happy in its strict bursting with glee sense. Glee, bliss, elation, jubilation, and joy are great expressions of life. And as magnificent as they are, it's difficult for us to see them and enjoy them to their fullest. However, it's not realistic to think that we can live in a never-ending state of euphoria. It would be great, but I think it would be exhausting, wouldn't you believe, to be in euphoria all the time. Will Bowen writes, "Happiness is the beach. Joy is the waves. Happiness is an emotional foundation of our lives, whereas joy ebbs and flows and is dependent on what occurs in our lives." Many psychologists believe that we have a sort of a happiness set point, right? A level of happiness that we return to regardless of what transpires in our day-to-day lives. For example, let's suppose our happiness set point tends to hover around 6.5 on a scale of 1 to 10. When something wonderful happens, such as discovering a new restaurant or seeing amazing whales on a whale watch, we can get a burst of joy, right? Ever experienced that? However, after the initial bump, we tend to settle back down to our predominant happiness level. This happiness set point concept works both ways. Some researchers have found that after a traumatic event, most people's level of happiness will dip in proportion to the experience, but will tend to rise back in time to the typical level or to the set point. You know, when it comes to rebounding from negative experiences, this is comforting. However, I think you might agree that most of us would like it to stay a little higher, wouldn't we? After a positive experience, we'd like to have it be up a little higher and experience more happiness. So the purpose of this Will Bowen's book and today's talk is to help you raise your happiness set point so that as life's ups and downs occur, you settle back to an ever higher level. So I like the idea, and to make our purpose our target, to make the purpose of being happy our target. There's an ancient story that I love about a young Indian prince, Siddhartha Gautama. The legend says that the young prince was a master of archery, and whenever a contest was held, Prince Siddhartha would always win first prize. The medals that the prince received were put on a wall in the palace, and there was many of them. After losing yet again to the prince, a frustrated competitor threw his bow to the ground and demanded to know the secret of the prince's uncanny ability to win every time. The prince smiled with compassion and answered softly, "I aim for the target." "I also aim for the target," said the competitor. "No," said the prince, "you aim for the medals, and as a result, you miss the target. I aim for the target, and as a result, I win the medals." Prince Siddhartha would later be known by a far loftier title, which is what? The Buddha, of course. This reminds us to focus on raising our happiness set point and know that our joy will increase. If we focus on the rewards alone, and they will never be enough, living our purpose leads to happiness, if our purpose is indeed to be happy. So, just how happy are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy would you say that you are right now? In order to determine how happy you are, I'm going to invite you to do an exercise that Will Bowen explains in his book. And are you willing to do that? It's going to take a little bit of work, but I guarantee you, if you go through this exercise, you will see positive results and you will be happier. So during the upcoming week or weeks, check in with yourself a few times each day and write down your level of happiness each time. Optimally, you should do this 3 times a day at the same time each day. And to help you remember, consider doing this according to Dr. Pepper times. Do you know what Dr. Pepper times is? Is anyone around that used to drink Dr. Pepper? You might remember that the letters 10, 2, and 4 were printed in big red letters on Dr. Pepper bottles labels. And the origin of these numbers, I think, is quite interesting. And they date back to the 1930s when J.B. O'Hara, an employee of the Dr. Pepper Company, discovered that many people reported an energy lull at 10:30 a.m., 2:30 p.m., and 4:30 p.m. And because Dr. Pepper contains lots of sugar and caffeine, it provided a jolt of energy. You know, my first time job was working at the Dr. Pepper bottling company in San Francisco. While working there, I drank lots of Dr. Pepper. And Dr. Pepper was marketed as one of the first energy drinks. I wasn't aware of that even back then, but it had lots of caffeine and lots of sugar. And it's no wonder that Dr. Pepper encouraged us to drink as much Dr. Pepper as we wanted. That was one active place, let me tell you. Now, O'Hara suggested that the company market to consumers the fact that drinking Dr. Pepper at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m. would help avoid a dip in energy. Now, I'm not encouraging you to drink lots of Dr. Pepper. However, I encourage you to discover your happiness set point by tracking your happiness level 3 times a day. So, you could use the Dr. Pepper times 10, 2, and 4, or any other time that really works for you. And when you do that, then when you check in with yourself 3 times a day, ask yourself, how happy do I feel right now on a scale of 1, meaning very unhappy, to 10, or to be ecstatically happy? And then to write those times down and keep track of them, of your answers, and then to figure out what your average happiness level is at the end of each week. And you can average your answer to get your happiness level for that week. And then next, set up happiness goal for yourself for the following week, and repeat the exercise. And I'd like to suggest that you be conservative. Set your goal maybe a half a point or a point higher. You could, because you want to be realistic in what you set your goal at, and you want it to be achievable. So you might be wondering, does Reverend Blaine want us to do this every week? Well, the answer is yes, or to do it for 2 or 3 weeks so that you can start to monitor what your happiness level is. And you will see in that time that you can actually raise your happiness level. Doing this on a regular basis will really only take you about 60 seconds a week, and it can dramatically increase your level of happiness. Subjects on subjective well-being found that just being mindful of our level of happiness can cause it to increase. So just being aware of it, having it in our consciousness that our purpose, our desire is to raise our happiness level, can make that happen. So we want to make our purpose our target. Remember what Prince Siddhartha said, I aim for the target. If we want to have happiness, we must aim for happiness. I see myself happy. I am happy. Affirm that with me. I see myself happy. I am happy. Just being mindful of our level of happiness can cause it to increase. It all comes down to, where do we focus our thoughts? Where do we focus our attention? As we begin to calculate our happiness level, rather than continuing to keep track of our troubles, we count our blessings, we'll find that our happiness level increases. See your future, be your future. Anybody know where that phrase comes from? It's a Chevy Chase line from one of my favorite movies, Caddyshack, which I've probably seen more than any other movie. But he said, see the future, be your future. So what we focus on is what we accomplish and achieve. I like to think of it like this: see your happiness, be your happiness. We see it, then we be it. We become it. I see myself happy. I am a happy person. I am happy. This statement will help paint a clear mental image of what I want to be like when I am a happier version of me. You know, it's important to imagine what your life will be like when you are a happier person. Again, this creates a target that we can aim for. You know, our ego tells us that accumulating things will make us happy. What do you think about that? I love what George Carlin said about that. He said, trying to be happy by accumulating possessions is like trying to satisfy hunger by taping sandwiches all over your body. I love that. I love that image. I'm going to try that sometime. So what will make us happy is having the desire to be happy and to keep our eye on that desire. So make your resolution to be happy first, and you will find that the other things you desire will come to you more easily and naturally as a result of your increased sense of well-being. So make your purpose your target. And remember what Prince Siddhartha said, I aim for the target. If we want to have happiness, we must aim for happiness. I see my happiness. I am happiness. So I invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath and focus your attention on your breath. And to let yourself just be present right now in this moment. Just to be present. And perhaps you feel some happiness energy moving in and through you as we have spent the last 30 minutes or so focusing on being happy. And I invite you to check in with yourself. And perhaps even to recognize where you are happiness-wise, and to let yourself raise that happiness level even just 0.5% or 1%. And imagine what that feels like. Breathing in, breathing out, and relaxing, being present. Just 0.5%, just 1% happier. How does that feel? And give yourself the freedom to experience just that little bit more of happiness. And in just a moment, we'll join together for a short time in the silence. And I invite you to just use happy or happiness as a mantra to focus on. You might even say, I am happy. So let's do that now for a few moments in the silence. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's bring our attention and our awareness back to this moment right here. And perhaps you can feel a smile coming across your face, following the relaxation in this moment. And perhaps if you can't find a smile, you could place your fingers at the sides of your mouth and push up. And smile that way. And I invite you to open your eyes and bring your awareness back to this moment, making happiness the target. I aim for happiness. So I invite you at this time to prepare your love offerings and your contributions to Unity Church of Maui. I'm very grateful to be with you this morning, and I'd like to offer you the opportunity to give to us. I know and I believe that as you give to us, you contribute your energy and your love to this work that we do. That is, I know, having a positive effect on the world. So as you hold your gifts, let's affirm and pray together our prosperity affirmation, which is, through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. And you can give to Unity Church of Maui a couple different ways: by sending a check to our physical location at 483 South High Street in Wailuku. And you can also go to our website and click on the donate button and make a secure donation there. And that is at www.unityonmaui.org. And thank you for your generous contributions to us. I've got just a couple announcements today. My talk next week is titled, Let's Play the Creator Game. What do you think? You want to play a game, play the Creator Game with me? In this talk, I will invite you to play a game that I'm calling the Creator Game. In this game, we will assume that we are 100% responsible for everything that we experience. And as you learn to play this game, you will discover how powerful you are. So join me next week right here as I share the secrets and the rules to winning at this lifelong, amazing game, the Creator Game. And that's next Sunday, April 18th at 10 a.m. on Zoom. And the links will be in our newsletter and on our webpage. And that'll be quite fun. It will be live on Zoom. And of course, I will post next week's video, as I do every week, on YouTube later. We're starting our Aloha groups soon. In fact, we have an Aloha groups reunion on Thursday, April 15th at 7 p.m. That's this coming Thursday. We'll check in with each other to see how everyone's, how their lives have been affected by the previous work that we've done with the book, What If It All Goes Right, and then A Complaint-Free World. And we've got some fun things to share around that. And then we're going to introduce Will Bowen's book that we're going to do in our next Aloha group, which is called Happy This Year, which this talk came from, of course. And we'll focus on our next series and get ready for that. And that starts, by the way, on April 29th. But the Aloha Group's reunion is a great place to show up if you've never been in an Aloha group and you want to see what it's like and experience it firsthand. You can do that this Thursday at 7 o'clock. And then our next Aloha group will begin at 7 on, what did I say, the 29th? On Thursday the 29th. And if you're interested in those groups, you can contact Emily and she'll sign you up for these groups. And her number is 808-268-8310. And these groups are always great fun and a great way to take a deeper look at ourselves and apply the spiritual principles that we work on in our lives. I know you'll enjoy it. Come join us. And then let's see, what else? I got something else here. Oh, I want to tell you that, let's see, okay, here we go. Sorry about that. I want to tell you that we have a soft opening happening at Unity Church of Maui. By soft opening, I mean that we're going to do a sort of a regular Sunday service, kind of like Easter was. It'll be on Sunday, May 2nd, and we're limiting that service to 20 people. And we're asking people to wear a mask and safe distance, but we are bumping up our attendance a little bit, and we're planning a really great Sunday for that service. So I invite you to make your reservations now, and you can do that again by calling Emily at 808-268-8310. It is by reservation only, and everyone required to wear a mask, and there'll be more information in the newsletter and on our webpage about that. And then our shuttle, Unity Shuttle Capital Campaign is doing well. We are at, I think we're at $4,500 right now. So we're just about halfway to our goal of $10,000, because we are seeing that that we're planning to move more towards a regular type of service, hopefully soon, as long as things are safe here on Maui. And we're going to need a shuttle to move us back and forth from the county building to our beautiful property on High Street. So thank you to all of you who have donated to help us buy a new van, and thank you ahead of time for those of you who are considering doing so. Let's see what else we got here. If you enjoy this service, you can find more like this on our YouTube page, and it's Unity Church of Maui YouTube. And you can also join our Zoom meetings live on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. And those links are in the newsletter and also on our webpage. So let's see, I think that's about it for today. Oh, I want to tell you also that I did post a Ho'oponopono meditation on our YouTube page. And you know, Ho'oponopono is a traditional Hawaiian way of creating unity in family groups and amongst communities. And check out my Ho'oponopono meditation. I think you'll find it very peaceful and quite healing. So I think that's it for today, my friends. It's been a pleasure to be with you. I love you, I bless you, and I appreciate you. And I behold the Christ in you. And why don't we end by praying together the prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. God bless you. Mahalo and aloha.
Where I live, there are rain.